I came when I was 3, so I don't remember Belarus, but the first 10 years of being in America, whether it was in Queens or Edison, New Jersey, like I was living in a Soviet household, right? We were getting acclimated, and so, my parents both lost parents at a very young age. They lived in Soviet Russia. My inability to complain is foundational to my success. My ability to take on all accountability for anything that's not working is foundational to my success.
You just eat it, basically.
100%. The audacity, the entitlement of a modern day American is one of the funniest things in the world. Everybody's walking around like they're owed something. Right? I eat it. I literally think you know how fun it is and how light you live life when you walk into your business and every single thing is your fault? The reason if you fire everybody, you might be the problem is, and I have no idea, but like one of the theories or the things that I've seen is that it means that you're not willing to be accountable. When I fire somebody, earlier I said firing, that was my fault. I hired them. When we lose a client because of the head of strategy or creative or media, that's my fault. I empower them. Once you take on full accountability, life gets awesome. Once you realize everything is your fault and you're in control, you know why everybody's so upset? They think somebody has control over them. I don't give a shit who the mayor, who the governor, who the president is. I'm gonna live. It's real facts. And by the way, if you don't like it, move to Sweden. Like, you're in control. I think that's, my parents, and I'm not sure that's a Soviet thing, that was my parents, but I
believe it is. They just, all the emotions go out and it's to get the job done.
Yeah, dude, when you have context where like you had to stay in line for bread, there are people who complain every day and like just complain, but are buying $7 coffees at Starbucks. Like, do you know how soft you are when you buy $7 coffee? I went on one family vacation in my life growing up. I worked every day from 14 years old, every weekend, every single summer day. I have no entitlement. I built a $65 million business for my mom and dad and left at 34 years old with no money because I didn't pay myself anything while I was building it. So when these kids are talking about being sad and want to be somebody, I was 34 years old and built a $65 million business. I built it, right? And I left with nothing and started over at 34. Zero. I started VaynerMedia in the conference room of Buddy Media's company because I had no money to pay for our own rent. I lack entitlement. It's my strength. I took that from them.
Dwelling and pondering and crying doesn't do shit, and it especially doesn't do shit in this echo chamber. In this arena, there is no crying. You can cry, you're just gonna lose. And I have bad news about complaining and crying. Let me tell you something about complaining and crying that's really, really gonna hurt for all you complainers out there. Nobody gives a shit. And let me give you a preview who gives a shit. The following people give a shit when you complain. The other losers around you, your sick, broken parent that secretly wants to hold you down so that you're not more successful than them. And let me remind you one more time, the other fucking losers around you. We have to start deploying self-awareness. If you leave here and start your process of really knowing what makes you happy, of who are you really, if you could stop chipping away the voices from the outside, if you can start figuring out what you're scared of, if you want to actually do something, even in the light of the picture that I'm painting right now, who are you scared to fail in front of? The reason so many of you are not doing what you want to do is you're scared to fail in some. You're scared that your brother will judge you, your wife, your girlfriend, your husband, and most scary, your mom or your dad. You need to eliminate that and/or own that fear and put yourself in a position to succeed. Because with all of this, we are now in the greatest era. For the first time ever, with no fucking money, with no goddamn connections, this can put you on the map. If you're good enough, if you are good enough to be up here, to make bling bling, if you are good enough, nobody's stopping you. Not fucking Donald Trump, not the fucking Russians, nobody. If you are a minority, if you are a female, if you are a transgender, if you're a fucking alien, the market doesn't give a fuck. If you make the best shit, you will win. Do you know how sucky it was to be a nerd 20 years ago? But now the market is rewarding fucking nerds, and now they're rock stars. Clap it up if you're a fucking nerd. The best part about that was some dude was clapping for it, and I said, clap it up and fucking nerd. He was like, it's awesome. I don't know. I'm so grateful. I was born in the Soviet Union. Both of my grandfathers spent 10 years in jail for being Jewish, right? Like, more people in America died last year because a coconut fell off a tree and hit him in the head than from terrorism. I'm just gonna say that one more time. Yeah, true. Funny thing about data, it doesn't fucking lie. More Americans died last year because a coconut fell from a tree, hit them on the head, they died, than terrorism. As somebody who aspires to be one of the great brander and marketers of his generation, I refuse for hate and horseshit and negativity to outmarket me. I will sit here today. I will sit here on the slides on every one of those platforms when they put it up. I hope they do. Follow me back there. You told me you would. Thank you very much. On stage, on those platforms, every day, 24/7, 365, I will remind you that life is phenomenal, that nobody gives a shit. So the government or your mommy's not gonna help you. You've gotta do it, own your shit, but it's never been better. We've got a bigger chance than ever. We can do our thing.
One of the people I look up to most in the world, maybe the person I look up to most in the world, tied with my dad, I know Dad, you might watch this, is my mother. And hands down, and I mean hands down, the thing that I find most intriguing about my mom, and probably one of the things that I'm most happy that she's passed on to me, is her inability almost to complain. I find it extremely attractive. I would tell you that I adore my wife for that reason. As a matter of fact, Xander is whining too much and he's only 2, and I find it unattractive. I'm very against complaining. I'm very put your head down. I'm very, don't you realize you're healthy? Like, to me, the only thing you should complain about is the unfortunate unluck of health. You know, somebody dying that you love in a car accident, or you becoming terminally ill. After that, it feels controllable. And so I really dislike complaining. I talk a lot about honey over vinegar. It's an analogy I use a lot here at VaynerMedia. I thrive on positivity, and so the way I deal with complaining is I try not to do it. I try to educate and empower people the lack of its value, I guess. I mean, I don't have a gear. There, you know, when you go on my gear, like, there is no like, oh, let me go into complaint zone. To me, it's assess, figure it out, and go directly back on the offense. I'm a very offensive player. Complaining is the defense.